This podcast is sponsored by Hudson the Puppy. Hudson, for all your sitting, fetching, spinning, paw-giving, midnight barking and bottom-sniffing needs. What I want to know is, how does a puppy manage to afford to sponsor a podcast? And how does it even know what a podcast is? For that matter, what is a podcast? Never mind.
For the tabletop role-playing news, we aim to amuse and we aim to enthuse. And Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG.
Hello, and welcome to Morrus's unofficial tabletop RPG talk. I, as always, am Russ, aka Morrus, or Morrus, aka Russ, and with me today is...
Peter Coffey from the Southampton Guild of Role Players. Russ, as ever, absolutely delighted at the fantastic joy to be here. But, no, wait, who's that in the corner? Why? He's just thrown in from America, and boy, are his arms tired. It's that games developer extraordinaire, Chris Spivey.
Thank you for having me, and my arms are a little tired, but it could be worse. No, I don't like that joke. Sorry.
It's true, it could be worse. Worse things do happen at sea, because the same things that happen on land, but now you're wet as well. Sometimes, man, sometimes. Chris, coffee goes into your body. It shouldn't come out your body through your nose. That's not how coffee works.
Wow.
So professional.
The excitement on your face, Russ, is telling me so much about how this is going.
Oh, don't be cruel to us. He can't help it. That's just how he looks.
I'm just waiting for Peter just to stumble his way through the introduction.
Yes.
Shall we do some RPG news?
Oh, I suppose we could. It does seem like it might be appropriate. Yes, let's do some RPG news. Yeah.
All right, then. How would you like some Dungeons & Dragons charity news?
Would I ever?
I don't know, would you?
Yes, that's why I asked. Try and focus. It's called a figure of speech for us.
It's a good figure of speech. I like it.
Yeah.
So Wizards of the Coast have released a playable race for D&D 5th edition to help raise money for the Extra Life charity.
Yes.
Which is the charity they support every year, which is dealing with kids' hospitals over in the US.
Yes.
And the race that they have released is the Locathar. One of those.
At this point, Carol had to edit out 90 minutes for us trying to say the same word.
Pick your pronunciation, yeah. Fish people.
Fish people.
Yes,
if I wasn't the one, I wouldn't have to work hard. No, not very hard. Oh, yes. That sounds like a worthy cause.
Yes. Well, fish people, in case you're interested, get +2 strength, +1 dexterity, natural armor, proficiency, athletics, and perception, advantage on saves versus charm, fright, and paralyzation, poison, stunned, or put to sleep, but must be submerged every 4 hours or you suffocate.
Every 4 hours?
Every 4 hours.
Is it a long suffocation or sort of a short one?
I'm guessing it's just like a drowning length suffocation.
Well, because if it's a long one, you can finish the combat that you're in and then sort of cough your way to a pond.
To a puddle or something.
Yeah, no, it's generally like they've got Constitution modifier rounds before they snuff it.
So I'm guessing you don't see a lot of these guys in Dark Sun.
It seems unlikely that you see them on a desert planet. That's great. Unless you went with like sort of a Mad Max style thing and they're like driving along in their sort of goldfish bowl on wheels.
Yeah. That sounds like an excellent idea. Well, if you want to pick up a Locathar, you need to grab the 39-page PDF adventure. It's called Locathar Rising, which includes the Locathar. I love just saying that word, Locathar. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. So you can pick up that PDF for $9.99 and all the profits go to Extra Life. So even if you don't want the Locathar, still pick it up anyway because it's a charity.
And of course it does have the advantage of having a maritime adventure also in there. So
yes,
be quite
it has that too.
Yeah.
So Green Ronin have announced something new. It's called 5 and Infinity.
Mm-hmm.
You know Threefold, that official setting for Modern Age that they announced like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yes.
Maybe a bit longer. So 5 and Infinity is a adventure book slated for 2020 and it's coming. Yeah, so it's coming out next year. So Green Running haven't said much as to what this adventure will contain, but they encourage us to think that Threefold is about the power of thought to steer history, and there are powerful factions, some with the PCs, some against the characters in Threefold, that operate across more than world reality. 5 and Infinity, people are thinking might be about 5 of those worlds.
Right.
That's about all we know so far. They haven't released a lot of information.
Okay.
It vaguely reminds me of Amber in a sense, if they're going for like lots of different worlds that you can sort of travel through and influence with powers.
Yeah.
Amber, there's the one core world and lots of little shadow worlds after that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, we'll have to wait and see what Green Ronin come up with. Okay.
Yeah. Going back to charity, there was a hurricane in America.
Oh, yes. So I heard.
Called Dorian, which was... How long ago was that, Chris? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago? A month ago?
Something like that. It's horrible. Sorry. It's...
Yeah. Well, there's a charity bundle on Drive-Thru RPG to raise money for the Red Cross's Hurricane Dorian relief efforts in the US and the Bahamas. And it includes a whole load of stuff. It's got Steve Kenton's Icons. It's got Jeff D's Mighty Protectors, Eric Bloat's Zombie Hack, a bunch of OSR and 5e releases, a whole bunch of Savage World stuff. So there's tons and tons and tons of stuff you can get there. Yeah. And all the proceeds are going to the relief efforts.
Fantastic. That sounds like a very worthy cause. It's so nice to see RPG gamers getting together to help people out.
Yeah, I mean, we had we were talking about a charity effort. Was it 2 weeks ago or was it last week? Harper's Tale.
Week before last, wasn't it?
Was it 2 weeks ago? Yeah, we were talking about Harper's Tale.
We were talking with Matt Corley. That's right, yeah.
Okay, what else is there in the news then? It's going to be quite a quick news section, I think, actually, this week. The Scarred Lands Creature Collection, now live on Kickstarter.
Ooh, exciting.
We kind of previewed it a couple of weeks ago. It's only got 12 days to go now, so I launched a few days ago, but it's got up to £30,000 in dollars. That is $37,000 of its $15,000 goal. So it's smashed that and is shooting ahead. 730 backers. I'm definitely going to back it because it looks gorgeous and the artwork is fantastic. And you can never have too many monsters for D&D.
Can you have too many monsters?
True. You cannot have too many monsters. It's impossible.
What do you think, Chris? Is it possible to have too many monsters in D&D?
As a fan of the mythos, it is impossible to ever have too many monsters or great old ones.
There we go. You're outvoted, I'm afraid.
I was pondering the concept if it was possible. I think you can have too many monsters because they don't all fit on the table.
Then you need a larger table.
Oh, nice.
I've got some more news. We have the 1001 Nights role-playing game has been released.
Excellent.
By Space Orange 42.
I love RPG publisher names.
I kid you not, an independent game publisher. They're an Italian publisher.
Okay.
There we go. So it's called Scheherazade. I don't know, something Italian.
Scheherazade, perhaps?
Perhaps. But it's the 1001 Nights role-playing game written by Umberto Pignatelli, illustrated by Sarah Valentino. Two very Italian-sounding names there. And it's a rules-light role-playing game suited for a younger audience. The players are guided by a storyteller. They take the role of heroic princes, daring dervishes, and ghoul hunters who try to discover how to wake up Princess...
Scheherazade?
Yeah, that. From the enchanted sleep in which she fell during the 1000th night.
It's a hard word to pronounce properly, Chris.
It is, which is why I'm not even going to try.
The Arabian Nights is a really good story. It's like one of the first examples of a story within a story within a story. So, yeah.
It's available as a full-colour, 170-page hardcover book. It's available in PDF. The hardcover will be released at Essen Spiel, the big German convention in October.
I sure look forward to that.
Exciting.
I keep trying to get myself an invitation to that, but it hasn't happened yet.
I've never been to it myself. I think it might be too big for me. I think right. Anyway, more RPG news.
Huzzah!
Robotech.
Ooh, that's
The
one of the giant
Macross
robots.
Saga role-playing game is now available for pre-order. Classic science fiction anime epic, telling the tale of humans defending their homeworld against an alien invasion.
Right. So I expect. Do we know anything about what game system it's using, or is it a re-release, or what's going on?
Robotech, the Macross Saga, the role-playing game, 260 pages, full colour, with a brand new rule system, including a 50-page scenario section.
Nice.
They're doing it all in 210 pages?
260 pages.
260 pages. Well,
50-page scenario?
For the adventure. Yeah. So allow, what, another 30, 40 for the setting? Doesn't sound like they've got a lot of rules in there.
I don't know.
Which could be a good thing.
If you're a fan of robots and anime, I think this is probably the thing for you. First came to the United States from Japan in 1985, and everyone has transformable jet fighters known as Veritex, apparently. It was an 85-episode television series.
Did either of you guys see that when you were younger?
Ever seen it in my life.
You've never seen Robotech or Mospita or the 3 different iterations of the show that they sort of combined into one show for the American audience? I may have a passing familiarity with Robotech.
Yes.
So did it even show over here? Did we have that?
What? I think I know Battle Mech, maybe, or Battletech.
Battletech something else entirely.
It is.
Hard.
I realise it rhymes with Robotech, but it is an entirely different thing.
It did air over here for all the episodes. Most of the episodes, at least in Alabama, aired out of order, so it was hard to keep up with. But there was equivalently 3, we'll say, seasons of the show for Americans. You had one that was sort of following Rick Hunter and all the misadventures of the Veritex and planes, and then you had a totally different series that became Robotech for us. That was kind of their kids, sort of.
Yeah.
And then you have the last season that had the transformable motorcycles, and you had following like a band of rebels fighting against the Invid on Earth. Huh. That's the 2-minute version of it for you.
I could give it a go, but 1980s cartoon TV series are kind of hard going these days if you don't already have a nostalgia for them.
I would suggest watching the original versions and reading subtitles with them because it is so much better. The voice acting's better. They actually play all the music instead of having 1 or 2 songs that they sort of recycle through.
Yeah. Right. Eberron, Rising from the Last War. There are some previews up over on Fantasy Grounds.
How exciting.
You know, the virtual tabletop?
Yeah.
So obviously they get a hold of these things way in advance so they can release the virtual tabletop module at the same time as the book comes out. And they've released a whole bunch of previews, which has snippets from the books, artwork, a map of the cosmology of Eberron, details about the artificer, a nice picture of an artificer, an artillerist as well, an alchemist, all sorts of stuff. Totally worth checking out. This is all kind of very visual though, so I can't describe it very well. It's not really podcast material, but I'll put a link in the show notes and people can hop on over and have a look then.
Oh, yeah. Is this, you've got like a little, I guess, halfling, female dwarf. Got the traditional, I must be playing steampunk goggles on her head, and she appears to be checking out something that looks, I guess, radioactive and has her own handheld blowtorch.
Like a glowing test tube.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't heat that with a blowtorch, not without wearing safety goggles. That just looks unsafe to me.
Well, she has got safety goggles.
No, they're not safety goggles. They're like examination goggles, perhaps. But you're not going to get the eye protection off that, Russ. I mean, you need like proper full face got. Like,
it might be magic.
Oh yeah, that was
right. D&D.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. And they've got like a lovely little picture of it. Looks a bit like an air skiff, which is being attacked by gnolls and, well, counterattacked by, I guess that's a shifter over there, jumping onto them. Yeah, so, yeah. That looks like that should be quite pleasant to play with, I think. Very, very strong art style.
Well, sticking with the Eberron theme, there's also WizKids are announcing the official, or have announced the official miniature set.
Okay.
44 miniatures. One of them being a large galleon stroke skyship type thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of them being the Lord of Blades. Mm-hmm. One of them being a blue dinosaur with what looks like saddlebags or a saddle on it, I think.
Okay.
And one looks like a lady with a lightsaber. I'm not sure.
Fair enough.
Or a flaming sword, maybe. But yeah.
I think you're not allowed to call them lightsabers. I think you have to call them sunblades.
Sunblade, that's what that probably is, yeah.
Yeah.
A sunblade, totally different to a lightsaber.
Yes, in many important respects.
Yes, yeah.
It makes more of a... as opposed to a... noise. Completely distinct in all respects.
Was it last week we were talking about how Ewan McGregor and Liam Neeson, when they were filming Star Wars, they were actually making lightsaber sounds and they had to be told to stop. And they were doing the sword fighting.
I don't see how that could possibly have worked. I mean, you can tell them to stop all you like, but it ain't going to work.
And also, what's the name? In The Last Jedi.
Was it making the pew-pew sounds?
Yeah. She had to be told to stop making pew-pew sounds when she was shooting her blaster.
Was this Daisy Ridley, yeah?
No, that was... I've forgotten her name. Who was in Jurassic Park as well, and...
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. She was making pew-pew, and she's got all these Oscars, and she's got these Emmys, and all these different awards and stuff. And she's still making pew-pew sounds when she's doing space scenes.
You don't simply break the habit of 30 years just because you have a job, yeah?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Monte Cook Games has released their new Cypher System Core rulebook.
Nice.
At no point in the marketing does it say Cypher System 2nd Edition.
No.
And you won't find that written down anywhere in the book either. However, the page on their web store where you can buy it has the URL Cypher System Rulebook 2. Mm-hmm. And it is pretty much a sort of updated edition of the system. Cypher System obviously being the multi-genre game which powers Numenera and that free Carnival Row thing that was released a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's a D20, but you roll under the number, and if you exactly match a number that's equal to your focus, then you do extra well. It's it's pretty simple, pretty elegant.
That's the thing, I believe. It's a 448-page rulebook.
Wow.
It's got the complete game rules. It's got extra rules for 9 different genres.
Yeah.
4 character types, each customized to your setting. 50 descriptors, 90 foci, equipment, hundreds of ciphers and artifacts, and nearly 60 creatures and NPCs.
Okay, so it's pretty solid. It's got bestiary and a lot of world building stuff built in there as well.
That's a big old book, that. That's nearly as big as the Pathfinder core rulebook. How many pages was that? 500 and something, was it?
600 and odd, because it was like the length of the PHB and the DMG put together. But it's a big old beast. But yeah.
What else do we have? Lone Wolf. We've got some bad news from Lone Wolf.
Oh, aren't they?
Hero Lab.
Hero
Lab, the character creation software.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. I had that way back in the early 2000s.
Well, they're still going, kind of.
Right.
But they've just laid off a whole load of staff.
Oh,
They literally announced it. I think it was like yesterday or the day before they announced it. Today being Monday when we're recording. But amongst those people, and obviously there were 5 other people affected as well, but amongst those people was LJ Stevens, who took a job with them about 90 days ago.
Oh.
Lived in Seattle.
Yes.
Relocated across the US.
Oof.
And then got laid off.
Ouch.
But that's not the worst of it. Her husband, Owen Stevens, quit his job at Paizo to join her.
Yeah.
And so now they both find themselves in a new place, out of work.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really unfortunate thing. And, I really feel for both of them. And of course, all the other people that have been affected. I mean, they're the 2 that I know of, but I know there's other people involved.
Yeah, if you've got big layoffs coming, then I don't know, maybe not hiring people is the way to go.
Yeah. Well, they said that they say Lone Wolf is a business and it's a small company, and they describe themselves as being akin to a family. What they say is that over the last few years, they've kind of like drifted away from that sort of small family kind of business sense and started expanding in various ways, and they're doing sort of insufficient jobs at multiple tasks rather than doing a really good job on one task.
Right.
And so what they're trying to do is dial back to be doing that. So they've had to cancel Realmworks, which was their upcoming sort of big flagship product they were planning on launching.
Right.
Hero Lab is continuing.
Yeah.
Realmworks, which is their character management software and their whole campaign management suite, that's gone up in a puff of smoke.
Right.
Along with all these people that they laid off.
Yeah, crikey.
Yeah. It's not good news.
No, it sounds like it'd be really tough for the Stevenses. That's going to be a hell of a thing to have moved and then quit your job and so forth.
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly.
Hard times, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the last bit of news.
Yes.
The very last bit of news is my own bit of news.
Your own bit of news.
I released another one of my one-page adventures last week.
Oh, yes, yeah.
This one is called Cult of the Rat God.
Oh.
And it's based on an insider adventure by Jacob Gobhar. And it's a twist on that old rats in the basement trope.
Okay. You have to kill four of them to level up.
It involves an infestation of rats, a mad druid, and a bunch of cultists led by that mad druid, and a rat god, which is a giant rat that the druid has convinced the cultists is a rat god, which they're all worshipping.
Right.
And it's all on one page,
Yeah.
as these one-page adventures are designed for a single session of gaming.
Yes.
And you can get that over on Patreon.
Nice.
Sweet.
For as little as $1.
Oh, very nice.
That's it for the news this week.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless either of you two have got any bits of news that I've missed.
If people haven't seen it, they should definitely go out and back the new Root RPG by Magpie Games. It is rocking the house on Kickstarter right now, but...
What's it up to now? When I last checked, it was about $250,000.
It's over 330, I think, right now. And they've still got a good 20 or 25 days, but people should get in and support early because it makes all the difference.
That is gonna beat the $500,000 for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we need
Hopefully.
to do a bit of a root watch, really, because we spotted it last week when it had been only open for like about 3 days, and it was like, that's about $250,000 sitting there.
Yeah. These board game properties, these board games are so much bigger than RPGs.
But no, this is a
I know it's the RPG of the board game. Yeah.
It's time to play our favorite game. It's time to play the game. Our favorite game in all the world. Guess the Kickstarter from just the name.
Well, shall we play our favorite game in all the world?
Woo! Let's do it. Which
I'm
one's this
pausing
one?
and waiting for you to make your usual joke.
Right, which one's our favourite game in all the world?
That's it. That's the joke. It's not a very good one.
It's not a very good game. Anyway,
You're not wrong.
but it's the only one we have.
Yes.
And it's become familiar to us, if nothing else.
Yes. Chris, do you remember the game?
I can wing it.
The game where I read out the name of a Kickstarter and you try and guess what it is from just the name.
I think I got it. I'm a natural at faking it. So let's see what we got.
That is exactly how it's played.
Because after all, I am a game master, and what else do I do other than make up rules on the fly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's start with you, Peter. You can go first, and then Chris can follow up. So, what is Wave Man?
A really bad superhero. He's who you call when Aquaman is not taking your call.
Yes.
Wave Man. Okay. Well, I am going to ignore the superhero theme because that's obviously bait, It's not a comedy superhero RPG. Instead, what it's about is an exciting science fiction game where you're following someone who is able to take advantage of the young slits experiments effects and transfer themselves from a particle into a wave at will.
Interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wrong, but interesting.
Very, 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 very wrong.
Wrong.
I'll start by telling you that Wave Man is what the Japanese term Ronin translates to.
As in a masterless samurai.
Yes.
So, someone who flows around. So I guess it's set in, I don't know, medieval Japan sort of thing, and you're playing Master Samurai.
Yeah. Tabletop RPG of Ronin, ninja, martial arts, and fantastic creatures. If you've read the works of Takashi Matsuoka or James Clavell or are a fan of The Last Samurai or Akira Kurosawa, then you are already familiar with the inspirations of the game.
The Last Samurai and Akira Kurosawa are being mentioned in the same sentence. That's, I don't know, I feel dirty now.
Is The Last Samurai the one with Tom Cruise?
Yes.
Yes, yeah. I remember that now. Yeah. That wasn't great, was it?
It was a film that I have watched.
Yes. So this is it's just a simple 2D6 system, and it's an expansion of the Tunnel Goons game by Nate Treem.
The Tunnel Goons game, you say?
Tunnel Goons, yes.
They certainly got away with names.
Yes, yeah. So it's a core rule book, and it ends on Sunday, October the 6th.
Alrighty. Well, thank you very much. Right.
Yeah. So I think you scored exactly 0 points there.
Woohoo! I still think people should play my Waveman game. But metahumanism cyberpunk, that's the way forwards.
Okay. Well, Chris, it's your turn.
0 to beat. You can do it, Chris.
This Kickstarter by Richard Kelly is called Rod, Reel, and Fist.
I will keep my answer to be more of a PG based answer.
Yeah.
Barely.
I have no idea what you mean.
Only because it's about 10 in the morning here, so I'll keep it on up here. Let's go. It is a new. It's a new D8 tabletop fighting game set in the style of. Let's go Roddy Piper fighting the invisible serpent people taking over the earth.
I totally play that game.
What this is...
Yes?
I think I got a negative point. Look at his face.
I kid you not. This is
a
tabletop fishing RPG.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is exactly how it describes itself. Embark on an expedition to save your village in this tabletop fishing RPG. It's an original system, core rulebook, and the players take on the roles of fishers attempting to save their village.
It definitely needs an original system for the first fishing RPG that I've ever heard of.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is kind of ingenious, though.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of novelty value going for it.
That it has. You've got to catch fish.
Right.
And defend yourself against hostile animals.
Right.
Until
where the fist comes in.
Finally, face to face with the fish of legend.
The end boss fish.
Yes, the boss fish, which I guess the fist comes into. I don't know. I guess you've got to punch it. I don't know.
Give that fish a good fisting.
Yeah, no, he wasn't going there.
Oh. What?
I was carefully avoided. Peter lowers the tone.
Achtung, dive!
Okay, back to you then, Peter.
Hey.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll like the name of this one.
Oh, love it. Go on.
You know how you like the name of RPGs to contain the word punk?
That's certainly something you could say about me.
This one is by Robert J. Schwab.
Okay, yeah.
From the...
Shadows of the Demon Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also from D&D 5th edition, I believe.
Sure, why not?
Yep. Punk Apocalyptic, it's called.
Right.
One word. One word. There is no space between punk and apocalyptic.
Punk Apocalyptic. Punk Apocalyptic. How many K's are there in that word?
0 K's. Oh no, 1 K in punk. I lied. There are no K's in the apocalyptic part.
Thank you for shaking your head, Chris. I appreciate that. Yes. All right, yeah, Punk Apocalyptic is... Oh, crikey. Well, I guess it's an attempt to make post-apocalyptic role-playing games more punk. So how on earth would you do that? It probably won't be powered by the apocalypse because Robert Schroll can probably write his own system. So it might be based off Shadows of the Demon Lord system, and it's an adaptation of that to allow for post-apocalyptic games, but with a more punk twist. So how does one bring a punk aesthetic, a punk vibe to the post-apocalyptic world? Well, I guess what you're going to do is you're going to try and ignore traditional themes and who your own furrow with different exciting forms of apocalypso.
Pretty much.
Woo!
It is indeed Shadow of the Demon Lord, or the Demon Lord Engine, as the system is called.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty much exactly what he said. The world has gone to hell. Nearly everyone who's lived through it has gone mad.
Yes.
It's based on a miniatures game with the same name.
Okay.
And you and your friends assume the roles of mercenaries who roam the wasteland. Very Mad Maxy, I guess.
Yeah.
I will give you 7 out of 10 for that.
Woo!
Pretty good score.
Yes.
And
Why, near
this
perfect.
is the last one now.
Analysis.
And the last one is for Chris.
Go, Chris. You can do it. We believe in you. Woo!
7 is the score to beat.
Yeah, go, Chris.
What is Historia?
Is that a 5e game that uses animals, I almost think dogs, as the primary protagonist?
Well, I think you just scored 1,000,000 points.
Really?
I like the look on your face now, Peter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That is exactly what it is.
All right.
5e sourcebook, a merciless world populated by anthropomorphic animal races.
All right. Wasn't that
You just got
Pugmire?
baffled. Pugmire is another anthropomorphic
5e game?
5e
Pugmire's by the incredible Eddie Webb.
Yes. I've actually played... He actually ran Marquis of Mal for me over at UK Games Expo, so that was interesting.
Yeah. Well, this is dark fantasy Renaissance.
Yes.
And unlike Pugmire, because I think Pugmire is quite a feel-good game, this feels a lot darker in tone. It's a feral and precarious world, a merciless land, stuff like that. So I don't think this is...
It's Pugmire, but grimdark.
Grimdark Pugmire, I guess. Yeah, that's a word. The actual picture of it actually has a cat, not a dog.
Oh.
A cat with a hat.
Okay.
With little holes in the hat where the ears are pointing up. So
Does the cat have boots?
I don't know if the cat has boots because it cuts off about here.
Oh, okay. Fair enough then.
I assume it probably does.
What's it called? Historia RPG.
Historia, dark fantasy Renaissance setting for 5e.
Okay.
It's the full title.
We'll just search for English results only because I don't need all this Spanish YouTube videos on history.
You can play 50 different anthropomorphic animals, 9 new classes designed to fit in a Renaissance setting, each with different archetypes. There's new types of magic, firearms rules, and historically accurate equipment.
Okay. Huh. I have found Historia the Thulids, which is the outer... Is this by Mana Project Studios?
Mana Project Studio, yes.
Oh, okay. Looks like it's also an Italian game? Okay, well, yeah. Anyway, well done, Chris.
Well, it's only got 4 days to go.
Yes.
It finishes on Friday. So when this podcast goes out on Wednesday, it'll only have 2 days left to go.
Yes. You will need to get in before Friday the 4th of October, or you will not be able to back this Kickstarter.
I love the artwork on this.
Yeah, it's got a certain Renaissance look as far as I can see.
Well,
that's quite good.
Yeah. So the scores at the end of our favourite game in all the world. So Peter has 7 points and Chris has 1 million points.
Hey!
Go, Peter!
Right.
A decisive victory.
Yes, indeed. It's better than any of these close fought ones. We had no time for mediocrity on this podcast, at least not in this game.
Hello, I wish to register a complaint.
We're closing for lunch.
Never mind that, my young NPC. I wish to complain about this familiar, what I purchased not too long rest ago from this very boutique.
Oh, that was your first mistake.
What?
Nothing, sir. Nothing.
I bought this vampiric hell rat so I could set off those pesky dungeon traps without risking my own life and limb.
Oh, yes. Wise strategy, sir. What's wrong with it?
I'll tell you what's wrong with it, my lad. He's dead. That's what's wrong with it.
Nah. He's resting.
Look, peasant, I know a dead familiar when I see one, and I'm looking at one right now.
Nah, he's not dead. He's resting. Remarkable familiar, the vampiric hell rat, innit? Beautiful fangs.
The fangs don't enter into it. He's stone dead.
No. He's resting.
All right, then. If he's resting, I'll wake him up. Hello, Mr. Vampy Hell Rat. I've got a lovely new trap for you to spring.
There, he moved.
No, he didn't. That was you hitting the cage.
I never.
Yes, you did.
I never did nothing.
Hello, Ratty! Testing! This is your dawn alarm call. Now that's what I call a dead familiar.
No. He's stunned.
Stunned?
Yeah, you stunned him just as he was waking up. Vampiric hell rats stun easily, my lord.
Now look here, yeoman. I've definitely had enough of this. That familiar is definitely deceased. And when I purchased it not too long rest ago, you assured me its total lack of movement was due to it being tired and shagged out following a prolonged cheese-eating session.
Well, he's probably pining for the lower planes.
Pining for the lower planes? What kind of talk is that? Look, why did he fall flat on his back the moment I got him back to my lair?
The vampiric hell rat prefers keeping on its back. Remarkable familiar in it, your excellency. Lovely fangs.
Look, I took the liberty of examining that familiar when I got home, and I discovered the only reason it had been sitting on its log in the first place was that it had been nailed there.
Well, of course it was nailed there. If I hadn't nailed that familiar down, it would have nuzzled those bars, bent them apart with its fangs, and voom! Voom!
Voom? Mate, this rat wouldn't voom if you put a 6d6 lightning bolt through it. He's bleeding demised.
No. He's pining.
He's not pining. He's dead. This rat is no more. He has made his last roll. He's expired and gone to meet Asmodeus. His watch is over. Bereft of hit points, he rests in the abyss. If you hadn't nailed him to the log, he'd be goblin chow. His character sheet is now just waste paper. He's rolled a 1. He's failed his save. He's set off his last trap, misplaced his healing potion, and joined the bleeding walking dead. He's fracking snuffed it. This is an ex-familiar.
Well, I'd better replace it then. Sorry, squaw. I've had a look around the back of the shop and we're right out of vampiric hell rats.
I see. I get the picture.
I could do you a bear, Al.
You know, when I type in Haunted West into Google, it's the third thing down. First thing is from helpfulholidays.co.uk, the most haunted places in the West Country.
Yeah.
The second place is from nationaltrust.org.uk, our most haunted places in the UK. And then the third thing is Haunted West, a historically weird West RPG core book.
Ah, well, for me, it's actually the second one down on my list.
It's quite interesting. What happens when you Google it, Chris? Does it come up first for you?
It comes up first for me because, remarkably enough, I've been looking at the Haunted West page.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
I haven't been looking at haunted houses in the West Country. I don't know why that's come up first for me.
Or so you say.
Or so I say.
I've got Haunted Western Supermare, which is not a combination that naturally comes to me, I got to say. Yeah. Oh.
Right. Shall we start talking about haunted houses in the West Country then?
Let's do it.
That is what your Kickstarter's about, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I'm actually an architect, and so one of the things I really wanted to do.
How interesting. Wait a minute.
Just look at it. Kickstarter is just about to hit £20,000. We see it in pounds rather than dollars. So it's 19,976 as I look at it now. That must be, about $25,000 for you?
We're a little shy, about 400 away from 25, which at 24, though, they've unlocked a brand new stretch goal, which is an additional 2,000 words to the alternate world setting, the alternate timeline.
You still have over a month to go. Wow.
I decided to start a little early. Originally, it was going to launch the 1st of October, but I'm super excited about the book. All the people have put in all this amazing work. I want to start talking about it more. And so we just jumped the gun at high noon on Friday and released the Kickstarter.
So this is the Wild West of America, obviously, not the West Country in the UK, which is something entirely different. So this is a historical fiction setting. In the sense that you've got lots of monsters and I think dinosaurs and jetpacks and stuff like that going on.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't specifically say dinosaurs and jetpacks, but I am now going to steal that idea, and there will be dinosaurs and jetpacks.
You said specifically jetpacks.
I did say jetpacks, and then I said dinosaurs in a separate sentence.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Dinosaurs wearing jetpacks. I'm looking forward to this game.
Done.
Huzzah! We've decided.
So we've got dinosaurs wearing jetpacks who are hijacking trains and.
So the book itself is a Weird West historical fiction spaghetti western action game. So I'm taking a lot of the different genres of the West that people have seen, and we're applying actual real-world history to it. So we're applying all the forgotten voices that have been left out of the Western tales to encompass everyone. And we're still going to tell all some of the other stories that were there, but we're shifting the focus to the stories that haven't been told. And there's going to be an actual true history throughout the book. Then layered on top of that is a Weird West setting. And layered on top of that is the alternate timeline. And people can apply whichever ones they want to. The purpose of it is to be very modular, to give you options and choices. Because for me, a lot of the Old West games that I saw for a long time was, this is your setting, these are the only rules you have to play, and you need all of this to play this game. I wanted people to be able to play a authentic Old West game with all the historical figures in place, where you're just as likely to die of dysentery, if not more so of dysentery, than a bullet.
That does sound.
Or you can have, or you can have your jetpack wearing dinos fighting your gadgeteers and gunslingers and everyone else.
So your alternate history, you alter the assassination of Abraham Lincoln ever so slightly.
I make Booth's plan slightly more successful than it was in our known history. Because originally Booth's plan was to assassinate 3 people. And so he managed to assassinate Lincoln. He wounded Stewart, but the person that was supposed to kill Johnson got drunk in a bar and got picked up by the police, which let Johnson, a former slave owner, get to ascend to presidency and stop all, pretty much fight against every change that Reconstruction was trying to put in place.
Right.
So by removing him, that means all the Confederates that got back into Congress are no longer in Congress. The land that was supposed to have been given to all the enslaved people is actually given to them. The Freedmen's Bureau is actually properly funded, and it changes the entire course of American history. And by changing American history, you've impacted the rest of the world's history, how it interacts. And so that's our timeline, and we're telling it as an evolving story that we do.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then from that...
How do the fantastical elements kind of fit in with all that?
They're part of the world. They're always just slightly out of view. And once you've encountered something in the weird, that sort of like broadens your horizon. You understand the world is deeper than even like the struggle that we're fighting up here. There's also the underground struggle of everything going on. And the game itself is based on the concept of hope, but you can't have hope without struggle to get there.
Right, sure, yeah.
Oh, I thought you just had it in so you could say, I've got a game with dinosaurs wearing jetpacks, and your problem is that there are black cowboys? Oh, okay, you do you.
I have had people that have commented on something like that. Not the dinos, but they're black cowboys, and that can't be real.
Yeah, no, I've seen that on Twitter. It's,
people are full of idiocy and stupidity and are like not smart. It's like because Scott Lynch had a similar problem because he had like a black female pirate or something as in his second book. And people were like, So everything else is fine, but it's the fact that she's a lady that is the bit that you're like having vision. So,
history has proven that wrong in and of itself so many times, but all those stories are erased and their voices are lost. And we're trying to amplify those voices.
So these voices we're talking about is not just black people. It's also, I guess, Native Americans and a wide range of.
We're amplifying all of the voices. We're amplifying all the marginalized people that have come across, but we're also not losing some of the colonial stories that are there that are part of the history too. Because to be able to tell an accurate, true history, you need to tell everyone's history.
Yes, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Everyone that worked, that bled, and that died to make the country what it is deserves to be recognized.
Exactly.
So what sort of stories would... I mean, if we... Obviously, there's the jetpack dinosaurs hijacking Confederate trains full of gold. That's one side of it. But what sort of stories would we be expecting to sort of see on the sort of forgotten voices side of the coin?
Well, part of the thing is it depends on what kind of game you want to run. If you're running a strictly historical Old West game, then you can still tell any sort of Old West game story you want to. It's the same thing if you add the pulp element to it, you can still tell any stories you want. If you're talking about if you want to run more of a specific Haunted West reconstruction game, you could be ranging from anything from battling the weird, possibly there's a feral vampire trying to take over town and you're defending the township. You could be trying to rob Confederate trains of the gold to like give it back to their people. You could potentially be in the seats of the White House, well, not the White House, but in Congress, debating about legal rights and everything else. You could be defending your lands against traitorous Southerners that are still trying to like wave their flag.
Oh yeah, like all the rebels, like saying, we lost, we're not over it, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Mm. That still goes on today, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It's limitless storytelling, and that's one of the reasons I wanted it to be how it is.
So you've got a whole load of people lined up to help. So it's quite a big team. I was just looking down at the list towards the bottom there.
I think there's 15 of us.
Yeah, and it's a diverse team as well.
Well, all these stories are not my stories to tell, and so I can try to help someone else tell these stories and do what I can to help elevate other people. But these are all stories that need to get out, and it's on the onus of the designer and creator that's trying to make a product to find as many diverse people as you can to represent them and have their voices in at the start of the project, and then move it forward. And I don't know of any other Old West game, and in fact, most games that have done that. I could be wrong, but I'm saying from what I've seen in my limited experience.
You are thinking with the D100.
So the game system itself, I wanted something that would feel familiar to people and easy for new gamers to learn. But at the same time, we've added additional levels of complexity to keep old school gamers involved. And one of the easiest systems to learn is D100. It's true. You've got a skill of 60. I need to roll under a 60 on percentile dice. That is easy to get. And so we've added in degrees of success on top of that. Then we have something called a river, where more exceptional paragons, which are like our character classes, can bank their successes to use later on in the scenario when the chips are down. And the 3 different styles of play, we have a narrative style that's incredibly focused more on the storytelling aspect with minimal dice rolling. Then a more standard-esque style of play that'll be a mix of rolling, mix of storytelling, and what people normally play. And then we have a miniatures version that you could also play. So you have the old school, like, I've got my hex map, this gun goes for like this many hexes, my power does this, things like that. And it's modular, so you can peel off different parts of the game that you don't want to use during your game.
Okay. There are things. Yeah, because I mean, my major issue would be with the D100 system, so it says it is that you do tend to have a bit of a bias to failure. Like, cause it's like a 60% chance of success is a 40% chance of failure, which is relatively high.
Which we'll talk a little bit, I guess, about some of the mechanics, but one of the things that we have is that we have grit points, and grit in the game lets you do things. And it's somewhat linked to your Western code. If you were, for instance, in an encounter where you really needed to do something, and it followed along your Western code, for instance, I think we have, it's called worldly and supernatural. Worldly and suspicious. And if you're more worldly, and if you did something that, if you really need to succeed on convincing someone that you are more suspicious of something, you could spend a grit point, move your worldliness closer to the superstitious side, which influences how people interact with you, and you could flip that die roll.
Okay.
So, for instance, you need a 60 and you rolled a 75. If you went into your more suspicious side of yourself and changing some of your own perspective and point of view of the world, your
75 would become a 57.
Yep, and you succeed, but your worldliness shifts somewhat more to being suspicious.
Right.
Okay.
And you have a limited number of grit points, and you earn grit points back in the game through different role-playing things. So we counterbalance some of the inherent issues with D100 by doing things like that, and reinforcing role-playing of your character, because role-playing is incredibly important to us.
Well, so you had sort of some kind of different modes there, which, depending on how sort of storytelling or how kind of gritty you wanted to go, because one end there was a grid-based miniatures system, at the other end it's very storytelling. Can you talk a bit about how that works?
That goes back to the modular level of play. If you wanted something that was more narrative focused, we have it minimized so there's hardly any rolling in it, and it's more of sort of a mutual storytelling experience. Yeah. If you wanted to add on the miniatures aspect of it, you'd have your maps, and then combats and everything would boil down to being a map-based thing. You, like, for instance, we'll even go with an old D&D model where you might be able to move 6 hexes. And so you can move your 6 hexes, then you take your actions. It could be something like using hoodoo to have something happen, or it could be like quick drawing and trying to shoot someone down. One of the other big things for us as a core team that I wanted to stress was that social conflict needs to be just as important as physical conflict. Yeah. Because if you've seen any of the old West movies, you have people talking down other people until they basically acquiesce and say, you're right, I'm wrong, and they sort of scamper out of the saloon with no one ever having drawn a weapon.
Yeah, there's a lot of staring down, isn't there, and gritted teeth and narrowing of eyes and all this sort of stuff that goes on in a Wild West thing.
And so we have that in there, and we also have a specialized dueling rules for when you're called out to get out on the street. Just two of you staring each other down. Free for all.
If anyone ever challenged me to a duel, I would just run the other way as well. Then again, with those Wild West weapons, I don't think you have to be more than about 6 feet away, do you?
Well, there's game accuracy, and then there's historical accuracy. Yeah. So you can figure out which one you want to use.
Yeah.
This looks like it's going to be a very well-funded Kickstarter, because you've just got it started off. Knock on wood, indeed. Well, you're definitely funded. So, do you want to talk us through the pledge levels?
Sure. All the different pledge levels are different historical figures from different backgrounds, and we've got the first is a $20 level, which is get you the digital core book and an Old West cocktail recipe, and the usual purchasable add-ons and everything else. One of the things that I sort of wove into the campaign was Old West cocktail recipes, because I am a huge, anyone that's met me knows that I like a good whiskey or scotch, but at the same time,
you're an old-fashioned man. I'll get the Coke.
Anyone would know that whiskey and beer back then was incredibly important. You'd be more inclined to have a whiskey than you would water because it would be cleaner and safer for you to drink.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have that element involved in everything. After that, we go to the $40 level that gives you everything above, and you can get all the digital stretch goals, which we're hoping more and more of them unlock.
Reading these pledge levels educates you as you read them, because you've got that's really clever, because you've got to read the pledge levels to decide what you're going to back. So you you're the legendary lawman that countless children never knew was the inspiration behind the Lone Ranger, for example. You just got a little snippet of history in each one.
Oh, yes, that's a fast for each level. Yeah.
And so I'm purposely not saying the names, so if people come and look at them, they'll have to read them and see without me giving anything away.
I see.
At Bass Reeves, you actually get the core book, and from there it keeps going. Well, we don't have that many more levels, actually. So 75 gets you the core book and the digital stretch goals and mission everything else. The one that we really hope a lot of people back will be the $100 level, which yesterday we expanded a little bit, but it's the buy one and we give one to a marginalized gamer somewhere that probably couldn't possibly afford to buy the book.
That's a great
We're going to donate a copy to them.
That's sort of like what they were doing with Harper's Tale, wasn't it? You could, there was a pledge level where you could buy one for yourself and buy one for a kid.
Yes.
You needed a copy, yeah.
And that's really important to us. That gets you everything listed above. And yesterday, to help sort of incentivize people, for anyone that hasn't bought it yet, I've included a free digital copy of Harlem Unbound First Edition if you buy that level. So you get all of that plus the First Edition Harlem Unbound digital conversion.
Nice.
Talking of Harlem Unbound, when is that second edition appearing?
It is in Chaosium's hands.
Yeah. It's written now, is it? Is it completely?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's completely written. I've sent back my thoughts on the new finalized version. We've had to make a number of changes to have it adhere more to the Chaosium house style than what the first edition was, which was just sort of me saying, this is exactly what I want. We have a new version that's somewhat closer to what Chaosium does, with still some of our swagger from the first book.
Yeah.
And we've expanded out the scenarios. I think there's 7 scenarios in the new Harlem Unbound compared to the 4 that's in the original. But I've actually pulled out one of the original scenarios and replaced it with a different one in second edition.
Hopefully you'll get another Ennie for the same book. That'd be amazing.
Sorry, knocking on wood again. The $300 level gets you everything listed above, pretty much, and you also get, I'll run a game at Gen Con for you. I'm going to try to set up 2 different sessions, up to 5 players, and there's a limited number of those. There's only 10, because there's only so much of me at Gen Con.
Yeah.
There's only so much Chris to go around.
Yeah.
Then we've got the $1,000 level that gets you the core book, the buy one, give one, digital core, stretch goals, multiple recipes, and I will travel up to 200 miles, I think, to run a game for you. Sorry, 100 miles to run a game for you.
100 miles. It's not quite going to get you here then, is it?
No.
And no. But I've been wanting to go to the UK for a while. I haven't been there yet, other than the airport when I was traveling somewhere else.
What you need to do is try and get yourself invited to UK Games Expo or something like that. That's the way to do it.
If you 2 put in a word for me, they might invite me over.
I don't know if they listen to us, but I'll give it a try.
Well, we've had John Dodd on. We can talk to him and see if he's interested. Yeah.
See? And the last one's 2,500. It gets you everything listed above, and I'll even write a custom scenario for you up to 8,000 words.
Excellent.
How exciting.
Peter looks intrigued.
I am intrigued.
Do we get to define any of this scenario, or is it completely?
I would, at 2,500, I would allow you to give me some input before I started writing.
Okay.
Right now, I actually have 1 backer at that level.
Yeah.
Nice.
I never, you always get these Kickstarters with these like $2,500 or $5,000 backer levels, and I just think, God, some people are just.
So some people are like really, really like art.
Oh, it's fantastic. These people are there. It really is.
They want.
I wish there were more of them.
Yeah, well, I wish I was one of them, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we put put some great swag out too. One of the things that I'm really proud of is that we made a war bag for it, which is a custom suede bag, and we're working with campaign coins to make us a grit coin to represent the grit tokens in the game. It's going to be a brass coin with like a gunslinger image in the front. Right. And the one that I am incredibly pleased with is going to be our Weird West alien compass. It's going to be solid. It's going to be hefty. You can hold it in your hand on the table. Yes. Well, an actual metal compass. So it will not work as a compass, but you'll have all the cardinal directions and everything else.
Right.
What's your sort of timescales that you're planning on working to?
So a lot of the book is already done. We're still doing playtesting because I want it to be as perfect as possible. And we have a release date, I think, of January 2020 for the core book out to people. The actual scenarios themselves, as additional stretch goals, would hit later in the year.
Yeah.
We're not going to promise the scenarios when the book comes out because that would be unrealistic. But they'll hit later in the year in 2020.
But you're not going to hold off on delivering the book?
No, the book is the most important thing to get out to people because that's what they backed. The primary thing they backed for was the book. And I want to make sure the book is as beautiful, tight as we can make it, and then release it as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm. I am a big fan of life path systems. My own game uses a life path system. I love the one in Traveller, and I am right now looking at your character sheet, and on the right-hand side it says life path, and then below that it says lineage, humble beginnings, adolescence, apprenticeship, it's a bit low res, that weird, lived experiences, and family.
Yes.
Can you talk me through how your life path system works?
We are massive fans of life paths and milestones in general because they greatly help people get more invested in the character. It helps you come up with more ideas and create a more detailed backstory.
I agree entirely.
The character sheet is actually 2 pages, and we just gave a front page mock-up of it, and we actually have a few more points in the life path system that we didn't list here.
Okay.
This is sort of the V4 version of the character sheet, and we're on the V5 or 6 right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So how it works is we start pretty much with your parents, and that sort of dictates your lineage where you came from, and then there's different modifiers for that, and then we progress through your life up until you start adventuring.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have also that's not on here is an and beyond, which for every 3 to 5 years you want your character to be older, you'd still roll on that chart, and these are additional things that happened to you before you began the game.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love that sort of system.
That definitely helps with immersion.
It does. I like the way you start the game and you've got already written character backstory.
Yep.
Right there on your character sheet as part of the mechanics of creating your character. I love that.
Because role-playing and living the role and being part of the character is incredibly important to me because that's how you engage more with the history that's going to be there. Mm-hmm. And that's why if you're fighting against, we'll say, the jetpack-wearing dinosaur, you're going to want your character that has to get back to the ranch to help Bass Reeves do this thing before, like, this outlaw escapes, is reinforcing all that to you. And it's worked hand in hand.
So these historical figures you've got listed, I mean, you said you didn't want to say the names out loud because you wanted people to see them on the Kickstarter page.
I gave you Bass Reeves for free.
Yeah. But, people can hop on over to the page and they'll see them right there and then pick one. Pick the 100. I reckon that's the best one to go for.
Nice.
Have you got stats for those historical characters in the game?
Well, if you want to scroll down, since we're just going to talk about merch now, I have historical figure cards.
Oh, okay.
Is one of the things you can get, and the card itself
found it. Yep, found it.
Will have the person on the back with their name and everything else. On the other side are going to be stats that the narrator, because we have narrators for the game because we're telling stories, can run that character with.
Oh,
I've just been caught by that picture of you've got the character sheet and you've got the glass and the hat. It's such. Did you take that picture yourself?
Yes.
That is such a perfect picture. Sometimes I have trouble getting pictures of, like, I want to put on a Kickstarter page or for promotion, trying to find a good way to photograph these books, and you end up piling up some books, and but that is just so perfectly framed with the glass and the hat and the character sheet. I love it.
Yes. Oh, that is nice. Oh,
And that's actually the V3 character sheet, and I think the V4 character sheet.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, we're big fans of character sheets, as you know, Chris, so ease of use will be something that we'll be definitely taking a look at.
And if you haven't seen it, I would suggest taking a gander at the video. But I may be biased.
No, I've watched the video. I have watched the video. I've seen you dressed up as a cowboy, standing in front of a fence.
Well, there you go. Haunted West, the historical Weird West RPG core book. You too can see Chris Spivey dressed up as a cowboy. You should get on that.
The question is, when you run the game, do you dress as a cowboy?
I have been known to at least wear the hat.
Just the hat.
Oh, get in.
So this future any winning game.
Yes.
Just see how many times you can make Chris knock on his desk.
I've got a glass table here. I'm just out of luck if I need to.
Yeah.
I'm
safe.
We're really proud of it. What we're trying to do.
Absolutely.
It does. It looks utterly fantastic.
Obviously, getting things posted to jolly old UK from the US of A is not something that I want to do because, I don't know, I like having money and I don't want the US Postal Service to have it all. So, you've got a drive-through RPG?
So with Harlem Unbound, I learned a lot of things. And I'm applying a lot of that stuff that I learned. I even made myself sort of an after-action report after Harlem Unbound. This worked well, this didn't work well. We should definitely not do this again. This was great. And one of those was shipping. Because shipping to some places, the shipping costs more than the book did.
Yes.
And so when I could, I tried to take as much of that hit as I could myself, not to impact other people. And this time around, we're going to have an offset print version for the U.S., and we're going to have a drive-through version for all of the backers overseas, which should vastly cut down on shipping cost.
Yeah.
If someone overseas wants to purchase an offset book, they can, but they're making the investment in the shipping cost to have it sent.
Yeah.
No, I mean, drive-through's got a print centre in the UK, I think. And is there one down towards Australia as well?
I think so. I would have to double-check my notes.
Yeah, I would have to as well. I think there is one down that way, though.
Which even just not coming from the US drastically drops the cost.
Yeah. Anyway, so three Ennies next year.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
No pressure.
But of course, you won't win the Diana Jones Award because that will go to the concept of actual play.
Oh, very good.
Right, well, Chris, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you on again. I really do hope you win Ennies again next year, and I hope you win the Diana Jones Award. And I hope you win all the other awards too.
I knocked on my desk 3 times in a row for you for that.
Well, the idea is I'm going to get you knocking your desk so many times it's going to start hurting to knock.
I see. It's the attempt to stop the Dark Hue world-spanning BM off in its tracks.
But I do appreciate you having me on and letting me talk a little bit about the book and the Kickstarter.
Yes, thank you so much. It is a real pleasure having you on, and best of luck with the Kickstarter. You don't need any luck. It's doing really well. It's going to do even better, but best of luck with the Kickstarter. And I'll be backing it imminently. Not at the 2,500 level, though.
You know what? For you, if you back the 2,500 level, I will fly over and hand deliver your book.
Oh.
Actually, Peter, weren't you going to lend me $2,500?
No, that doesn't seem like something.
Don't you owe me $2,500?
No, that's definitely not something. I've been meaning to talk to you about the concept of back pay.
Anyway, thanks so much for coming on, and I'm sure we'll have you on again in the future.
Yes.
Probably to talk about your Ennies wins next year.
I didn't knock that time.
Yeah.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much. Right. And everyone, please go back Haunted West now, tomorrow, and every day till we stop the Kickstarter.
Yes, absolutely. Do that. 100%. Right. Goodbye, everybody. Until next week when Peter is going to be away because he is off in the deepest, darkest depths of Peru, seeking out marmalade sandwiches and talking bears. So in his place, Shane Stacks will be joining me for 2 weeks to co-host. Next week we'll be talking about his book about the history of computer role-playing games. And the week after, we've got the folks from the Scarred Lands monster book. Will be popping along. John Hodgson will be coming along to tell us all about that. And then, unfortunately, Peter will be returning the week after.
Yeah.
At which point we're doing, I think that's the week we're doing Descent into Avernus, isn't it?
Yes, we'll be talking about the jolly little sortie to hell as planned by D&D's latest. And then after that, we shall be starting to look towards the end of October and what it is that people will be doing for Halloween.
Halloween. Spooky. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Apparently I now have to read this to you. This is the official podcast of Morris's unofficial tabletop RPG news, which you can find at enworld.org. You can find show notes at morris.podbean.com or wherever you found the podcast. If you feel like they deserve it, you can support the show on Patreon. In return, you will receive exclusive bonus content. Just go to patreon.com/Morris. If you're interested in his babbling nonsense, you can follow at Morris on the Twitter. Send your emails to morrispodcast@gmail.com. Not all of your emails, just the ones you want us to see. That's it. I'm bored now. You can go away. Shoo, off you go. Goodbye. Get out of here.